Hey, people, how are you doing? Yep, I thought I would try the scheduling thing. I don't know if I've got the right time. Maybe it's it's supposed to be 1:30 Pacific, but we'll move ahead. All the best people are here, including Margot and Diamond Paw and Mama Mo. There's Eyes of Green. Welcome, Eyes of Green. Hi, Thing One. How are you? So, y'all are very lucky. I'll tell you this. You're very lucky because I was working on editing a video that I'm making. Hey, Scarlett. I was editing a video and I forgot all about doing the live. So thank goodness when I went to the internet to download something to put in my video, I said, "Oh my gosh, I forgot all about my scheduling." So good deal, Kathy. Yeah. Hey, Sketty Nona. Hey, Charlie Faith. I don't know. I did a lot of videos, watching videos by YouTube on notifications not being sent out, and the guy that I listen to, who's one of the top guys at YouTube, I think. Um, he said that it's a problem. A lot of people are complaining about the notifications, but that should be fine because the algorithm is there. And don't worry. And I hate to tell him, but the algorithm is not showing me any love, right? So I'm getting started. I'm gonna use all their nice YouTube tricks, and we'll see how it goes. And so today I am going to talk about Lauren Pazienza, and I am going to review the facts of this situation with Lauren Pazienza, and the fact that she has been arrested, allegedly pushed Barbara Gustern um, to the point she pushed her so hard that she fell, hit her head, and died of a severe head injury 5 days later. Now, Lauren is 26 years old. She was arrested for manslaughter as well as having two assault charges in addition to the manslaughter. And she stayed in jail overnight, maybe 2 nights. And her mother is the one that wrote the check for her bond, and it was $500,000. Now, there were early reports that this money, this bond money, was being covered by some sort of insurance policy. But now everybody's moved on and said, no, 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 her mom wrote a check. So, regardless, here's where I stand on all this. I am reporting what is also being reported in the major New York printed media, right? Which means the New York Post, the Times. Um, and so it is quite interesting to me that you guys know that I cover several cases at a time, even though Barry Morphew's case that kind of takes all precedent. And now the case coming out of Navarre, Florida, with Cassie Carley, that's number two in terms of my prioritized list. And then this one with Lauren Pazienza is number three. And I've got something with Summer Wells that's going to be coming, but I'm still working on it. But anyway, so my priority now is Barry Morphew, and now Cassie, the disappearance of Cassie Carley, and then finally the death of Barbara Gustern. And and here's what is so interesting to me. I do all my videos the same way, right? I educate myself, I learn about everything I can read and find regarding these stories. Um, I If it's a news story, I make sure I memorize the names and the ages and locations of the major players. But then I have some sort of goal of my video, like there's an underlying message or an overflying message for what I'm trying to put out there, and that guides me. And I don't get on any of my other videos, the other topics. I don't get a single word about, ooh, you got your facts wrong. You said the wrong thing. I This is the first time I've watched you. I'm unsubscribing. Well, number one, faceless liar. It doesn't make sense that this is the first time you've watched me and you unsubscribe, because you do not subscribe to me simply because you have started a YouTube channel or account. So I don't know if you are just part of the Pazienza posse, part of the royal court for the Princess of Pooh, but you're not telling the truth, right? So I do all these other stories and I don't seem to get those facts wrong. But according to the flying monkeys of Lawrence, they're out in force, it would appear. So I just wanted to make sure that I got the facts straight. Now, obviously, this beautiful woman in the beautiful red sweater, this is Barbara Gustern. It is a real shame that this woman was treated with such disrespect, and in the end, died a really painful and frightening death. There is information that's been printed. Not only was she the voice coach of Blondie, the rock star recording artist, but Barbara has been affiliated with many of Broadway's big stars, and she was the actual singing coach for the front singer for Bikini Kit, and her name is Kathleen Hanna. Kathleen Hanna is deeply disturbed by what has happened, and she describes Barbara Gustern, who as lovely, energetic, and funny as hell. She is furious with the Duchess of Dew and is calling for. I'm sorry, I said Bikini Kit. It's Bikini Kill. So she is quite she is grief stricken. She worked with Barbara Gustern for a very long time, and so she is very upset about what the Princess of Pooh did to Barbara Gustern. Now, if you remember, Barbara died on Tuesday, um, 5 days following her March 10th attack. She was standing in front of her Manhattan apartment building that was on West 28th Street and 8th Avenue. And the Princess of Pooh, Lauren Pazienza, she actually had to cross the street to get to Barbara. This lady went out of her way to get to this 87-year-old wonderful woman. And as she made her way toward Ms. Gustern, as she made her way across and began coming down, Ms. Gustern actually told them that Lauren called her a bitch, or in the words of Scott Reich, biatch. Try not to ever say that again, Scott. Okay. Okay. Now then, so there was not a video recording of the actual assault, but Lauren was caught on video leaving the scene of the crime, and she was wearing the exact same clothes right there as she's walking away from Miss Gustern's apartment. She's wearing the same clothes on various cameras as she was made her way with her fiance into the subway and then finally to their house in Queens, or their apartment in Queens. Um, so let's see if there's anything else there that I wanted to put in there. The Gustern family has offered, and we met her grandson has been very active in her life. He has done some interviews. His name is, I believe, AJ. But her family is offering a $3,500 reward um, for information leading, talking about the attack, eyewitnesses, people that can help identify Lauren, that actually saw her do the dirty deed. Okay. Now then, let's see. Oops, wrong thing. Stay with me. Hold on. Okay. Now that and it's so cute. Barbara Gustern, that photograph that I'm using with the red sweater, that was a day where she had multiple photographs taken, and she's wearing red cowboy boots and dark gray leggings, and then her red sweater, and she just looked just precious. So this was a woman, in spite of being 87 years old, she was working with professional singers. um, she was standing in front of her apartment building waiting on her car because she was going to a party to honor one of her students who was performing that night. So this was a viable, active, energetic 87-year-old woman, and she was entitled to a life of dignity. She was entitled to surviving until it was God's turn to say when it was time for her to go. And so the fact that this 26-year-old young woman who believed, by her reported behavior, even leading up to the days before the attack, she was so rude to people. And for whatever reason, she decided to go after this older woman. And to now, I have not been able to find any, I guess, credible information about what would have possessed Lauren to do such a thing. There is growing chatter that the relationship may have actually been um, with the fiance, that he may have actually known her. And so, Lauren was like white knighting for her fiance. I had another thought. I thought, gosh, you don't think it's something horrible like she wanted to buy that apartment? She wanted to buy Barbara's home. I thought, surely not. That would be right? Be awful. But nevertheless, although Lauren was only 26 years old, she has been around long enough to make herself a reputation in the Big Apple. Okay. So she up until all this happened, she was often seen at swanky parties in Manhattan. She enjoyed going to art gallery openings, and basically she worked at a high end French furniture company, and she basically was quite impressed with herself, right? Um, the law enforcement sources. I hope you Lauren Pazienza flying monkeys are listening. Law enforcement sources are quoted that Pazienza is a known nuisance at her apartment building. Remember, I told you she owns an apartment building that is valued at 500,000, or it's sold for $500,000 when Lauren and a family member purchased it, and it's at a swanky doorman type apartment building called Shore Towers. And law enforcement, quote, said Pazienza is a known nuisance in the shore towers. She has regularly called the cops on her neighbors. Now, one of those neighbors was interviewed and she said, I I feel bad about what happened, but there was always I feel horrible about the situation, but I'm really not at all surprised. There was always an issue with Pazienza, always an issue with her and someone in the building. I mean, it's like the lady, there was always something with her. I I really feel for her fiance because he seems like a nice guy. I'm not sure he really signed up for all this. Now that's quite a statement. A man who lives in the same building, the Shore Towers, he's quoted as saying, yeah, that girl is definitely not the best tenant. So these are not people from second grade. These are people from now. Another person said, and it's another man, there's always some type of issue, some kind of complaint. You always know it's her. It is ridiculous. One neighbor said Pazienza has been confrontational from the start, but she has never been violent. It's always been verbal. Sometimes she would say she's standing up for herself, but always complaining. Something's wrong with the building management. Something's wrong because someone gave her a parking ticket. She will not put up with this nonsense, she will tell us. She'll say, I'm not putting up with this nonsense. What is your problem? What do you want from me? The young woman obviously is short-tempered. I mean, do you think she's been short-tempered her whole life? Asked one of the tenants. Now that brings in another group of people. A former classmate said on Fox News that Pazienza bullied him after he moved into a house in childhood, moved into a house a few doors down from her mom and dad's. This is when Pazienza was in the second grade. Pazienza terrorized this little boy, terrorized him. And it got so bad that the teacher had to separate their seats in the classroom. This another anonymous classmate said, oh, Pazienza always had a crazy look in her eyes. Always. She would kick me and she called students' names all the time. I don't even know if she had one friend. All right. Now, Pazienza is out on $1 million bond. She had to pay $500,000 cash. And she spent a couple of days in Rikers Island. So that was fairly unpleasant. I'm sure she wasn't a lot of fun to be around that evening. But maybe her mom and dad had a bottle of wine to manage and get through it all. They did, however, come up with a really great attorney. Let's see. The Post made an attempt to visit with Pazienza and get an official statement from her. But even though she responded to the visit, she refused to speak to the reporter. She was wearing a gray jumpsuit. Her long red hair was disheveled, and she kept her head down. She refused to speak. The attack occurred on March the 10th on West 28th Street, and it occurred at about 8:30 Eastern Time, starting with her crossing the street, uttering, yelling at Ms. Gustern the word bitch, and then pushed her as hard as she could. Pazienza has a 24-year-old brother. and her well-known defense attorney, who is like a television talking head kind of attorney. His name is Arthur Idella. He's well-known, highly regarded criminal attorney. Idella is quoted as saying, "We are pleased that the court has granted bail to Ms. Pazienza, and we expect that she'll be released soon." Well, she's already released now. And he said that the Pazienza family is grieving the death of Barbara Gustern along with the rest of the city. Pazienza's parents to now have not, that I found, they have not commented on the arrest. And is not, the reporters that are calling the home, the dad is hanging up the phone. Okay. It says that I'm looking for just the facts. That's why I'm taking a little bit of time. Okay. So Lauren Pazienza grew up in Centauket near Port Jefferson, and she attended Ward Melville High School. Naveen Pereira, who is her fiance, they were supposed to be getting married in June. He now works for Microsoft as a customer service specialist. He also grew up at Ward Melville High School. His father apparently is a well-regarded cardiologist, cardiac surgeon, maybe. After Lauren graduated, she graduated high school 2013. After she graduated, she went to the Fashion Institute of Technology, where she earned a bachelor's degree in direct and interactive marketing. She has worked with various marketing firms and done various gigs, including an upscale Roche Babus French furniture company. And let's see. That's it. All right, I think that's all the facts, other than that she has been seen partying with celebrities and well-known people in Manhattan. She's a really important person. Prosecutors say that 7 minutes after Pazienza allegedly shoved Barbara Gustern, she was spotted having a physical altercation with her fiance. So they weren't just arguing; they were physically pushing or slapping or something. There's no description of what was seen on the they saw it by a camera. But they had a physical altercation, and then she was seen watching as ambulances rushed to West 28th and 8th Avenue to help Barbara Gustern. The couple, Naveen and Lauren, took the subway back to their one-bedroom apartment using his card only. And now this article is different than the previous article. Previous article said that Lauren and one of her family members purchased the apartment for $500,000. This, which is the Post, they're claiming that the apartment belongs to Naveen Pereira and his father, and that it was purchased in 2019. That's interesting. So there's a bit of incorrect information flying monkeys, but that's not my fault, because one newspaper reported that it belonged to Lauren and a family member, and now this one is saying that it's Naveen Pereira and a family member. Pazienza has completely stopped using her cell phone after having stashed it at the home of her aunt. She took every effort to avoid apprehension. including deleting her wedding website and taking down all of her social media. That came from the prosecutor's office. The father lied, allegedly, for his daughter. She was at the house, but he told the investigators, the detectives, that she was not there and he did not know where she was. Idella, the attorney, later contacted police and said that Pazienza would be willing to turn herself in, and then she did. She kept her head down, so any of the reporters taking photographs never got a good picture of her face. There's one picture that I've been using that you can see her face down. You can kind of see through all of her hair and see her face, and she doesn't. I mean, she just looks like she's angry. All right, so that's that. Those are all the facts that I have been able to collect, and I double verified them. And the exception is we don't know who owns the house, because the Post is reporting exactly the opposite from what was the, I think, the New York Times. And finally, to end this, I'd like to let you guys know that Dr. Todd Grande, he has put up a video about Lauren Pazienza and what happened with Barbara Gustern. And so I hope that you will go over and see his video. I love Dr. Todd Grande. He's got a very dry sense of humor and it makes me laugh. Okay. I hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon. I'm going to end this live for the sake of the algorithm, and then I'll be back probably 30 minutes or so. Okay. Y'all have a great afternoon. Pray for the algorithm. Talk to you later. Bye.